Okay, so we're going to start covering the inside of our album. So we're going to do 3 sides where we're going to have 2 of these waterfall sections here. We're going to have a pocket here with a photo mat, and then this is where the spine is going to go and have our pages. So I'm going to show you how I did this waterfall section here, and look how cool this is and how easy that pulls. Gorgeous, love it. So if you're making it the same as me, we're going to make 2 of these. So you will need to cut or die cut 2 of the big shape dies. Then you'll need to cut 10 of the large one of these and 10 of the smaller one. Now if you wanted to add your pattern paper like I have, then you can go ahead and do that, but if you didn't want to add your paper and you just want to add your photos straight on top of this one, then use the smaller die to cut your photo out. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat this. Okay, 2 of these, 10 of the larger ones, 10 of the smaller ones, and you'll need 4 of these pieces here. So we're going to start assembling this. So I have watched Helen's tutorial to have a look how to do it, and I've also added a bit of green cardstock behind it because it looked a bit lost with just the white card on this paper here. So I've added some green cardstock around that just to make it pop and you can see it very well. So for this piece here, I cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5 7/8. Okay, and I'm going to, before I assemble this together, I want to go ahead and distress my card and my paper. So I've distressed all my pieces now, and we're going to get a bone folder and we're going to start folding this section here. So you can see all these score lines here. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see? Okay. So we have our pull tab here, and this section wants to come to the front like this. So we need to fold on each of these score lines, giving them a good crease. Okay, and obviously you need to make sure that it's all lined up on the edges here. So just keep going, and then you're going to get, so let me move these ones here that's got the paper on out the way, and the card sections there. And then we're going to get these 2 smaller pieces and we're going to fold them in half and give them a good crease. And we're going to add some glue here, and we're going to line it up along the bottom here and the side, but you don't want to put this side here all the way to that score line, because you need to leave a bit of a gap, because let me see if I can get my fingers on there, because this bit's got to wrap around there and it needs to have a bit of give for it to be able to pull. Okay, if that makes sense. So I'm going to grab some tacky glue, add some glue on here, and we're going to place that on here. Again, don't take it all the way to that fold, because you need to leave a bit of space for it to wrap around, and also for it to be able to move up and down. So can you see I've left, let me wipe that glue out the way. So can you see I've left a slight, I've left some room there between the edge of my card and that fold. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So that's them now added, and while they're drying, I'm going to add my papers to these sections here, because it will be a lot easier if you do this before instead of doing it when these are on there, because it would just be a bit awkward. So I'm going to add this one with you, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest off camera. So I'm going to place that in the middle. Like so. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest. So I've now added them, but before we add those, I want to add a piece of paper onto here because I thought it looked a bit plain. So I've cut another piece of that paper, and it measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Now this is option, you don't have to do this, but I thought it just looked nice and it just finished it off. So I'm going to add that with some glue. Okay, so now we need to add these to here. So we're going to add some glue to this first section here. So I'm going to place some glue on here, and we're going to add this to our card. And you don't want to go right up to that score line, you just want to leave a slight gap, and you also want to make sure that it's lined up on the edges here. Once you're happy, press that down. Okay, and then again you're going to add glue to your next one and place that on there. Don't take it all the way to the score line, making sure that these are lined up on the sides, and then press that down. And you're going to continue doing that all the way up. Okay, so there we go. So that's what that looks like. So now what we need to do is we need to add, now if you were just going to add this to your cover, okay, let me bring this in, you'll just add glue to these sections here, and then you'll stick it to your cover, okay? But because I'm adding some cardstock behind it, I'm going to stick mine on here. So you're going to add some glue just to this section here and here, and I'm going to place that on there and press that down. Now I am going to cut around here because I think that will just finish it off nicely, which I've done here as well. So I'm just going to go in with my bone folder and make sure that's stuck down. Okay, and then I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to follow the shape of this piece here. Okay, so I'm going to do that and come back. So there we go, so that's now finished, and I'm going to add it to the opposite side of this one, and I want to try and get it all lined up so it's about level. So I'm just going to add my glue to the back. You want to make sure that you add liquid glue because it will last a lot longer than double-sided tape. So I'm just going to go in with my bone folder around the edges just to make sure that it's all stuck down. Okay. And there we go. And then you just pull this Love it. We're going to add a pocket and a photo mat. So for this one here, we are going to be using the small album die set. Out of this die set, to make the pocket, which is this one here, I used this die. So you'll cut a piece of card out of this die. You'll need to cut your pattern paper with the mat that goes over the top, and that is this section here. Then for the actual photo mat, I've used this die here. So you'll cut one of them. And for the tabs, I've used this, and I've cut it out my pattern paper, and I've cut them twice. And you'll see I've distressed my cardstock, and I've also stamped place photo here. So we are going to start off by folding on these score lines and giving them a good burnish. Okay, and before I stick this down, I want to add my paper to go on top. So just add my glue, place that over there, like so. And I'm going to bring in my cover, and we're going to add glue to the outside of these tabs here and place it on here. So to bring that over ever so slightly, and then press it down. Okay, so while that's drying, we can add our tabs to our photo mat. So I think I want to round the corners. So let me get my corner rounder, because I think it just looks too, and I should have done this before I added the tabs, but never mind, they're rounded. So then that will go in here, like so. And there we go. So now we've got our two waterfall sections that you just pull them like so. Pocket with our photo mat in there as well, which majority of the inside cover done now. We want to now add our spine. So out of that album die set, we are going to just grab these pieces, and you want to cut one piece of cardstock out of the larger one, and you want to cut 3 pieces of cardstock out of this one. So I've gone ahead, distressed all my pieces, folded on those score lines, and I'm going to show you. So one of these will go in the center like so. The next one will go here, and you're leaving about 1/4 of an inch gap between each one. Okay, so I'm going to place some liquid glue on here. I'm going to try and get this centered. So, and you need to try and get it central as best as you can and as straight as you can, because otherwise your pages will be wonky. You're going to get the next one add glue on here. I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch between the two. So place that on there. Again, making sure that it's straight as best as you can. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. And then you're going to do the same on this one here. And then you're just going to move these backwards and forwards to loosen the fibres, so then the pages will move easily. And how quick and easy was that? I mean, there was no trying to work out measurements or anything. Oh, perfect. Love it. So we're now going to add this to our cover. I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. Okay, so I've added the spine now, and that's what it looks like. So now we're going to add the pages. So for this, you will need this die out of the album die set, and you're going to cut, I believe it was 16, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, yeah. So you're going to need to cut 16 pieces of cardstock out of this die. And you're going to have 2 pieces of cardstock for each page. So I've done these ones already, and I'm going to do the last one with you just to show you. So we have our 2 pieces here. We're going to need a paper trimmer, or you can use your craft knife or your scissors, and we're going to cut these large tabs off here, and you're going to leave the smaller ones on, okay, because then it will leave an opening on either side. One side for us to add to the spine, and the other side is to put a photo mat in. And then these smaller tabs are what's going to seal our page together. So we're just going to cut off this large tab, and you want to line up that score line in your trimmer and just cut it off like that and leave the small one on. Do the same to the other one. Okay, so you'll have 2 pieces now like this. I'm going to go ahead and just distress my pages. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give this a good burnish with our bone folder and glue to this one here. And you want to line up this fold with the edge of this one here that hasn't got that tab on. Line this up and press it down. And stick that down. And there we go. So that is your page, and you do the rest of your pages the same. And now we're just simply going to add it to our spine. So we're going to start off from the back, and we're going to add liquid glue to both sides of this section here. So I'm going to add some liquid glue here. Then we're going to get our opening, and we're going to slip this tab inside here, and we want to line up this edge not quite up to the score line. You want to leave a slight gap so then it's able to move around. Now we're going to get the next piece, and again we're going to add glue on either side of here. Going to slot that in there, making sure we don't go right up to that score line, and you need to make sure that your pages are aligned at the top and bottom. Okay, and slot that into there, making sure it's not up to that score line here, and your pages aligned at the top and bottom. Once you're happy, press that down. And there we go. So that's the pages coming together. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest. So that's the pages now added, and as you can see, they're moving really nicely, and yeah, loving how this is turning out so far. So this will close like that, and that's what it will look like. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the papers out for my pages and also the photo mats, and I'll come back and tell you the measurements for them. And then after that, I'm just simply going to go ahead and decorate the album and the outside of the house, and we'll show you what the finished project looks like. But that is the main construction of the album itself. So yeah, join me back in a minute, guys. So there we go, guys. I've now finished adding the rest of my pages to my book, and you can see that I've gone ahead and added some photos and also added the tabs to the pull-out photo mats. So I'm not going to decorate it on camera, I'm going to leave that here, but you can decorate it however you want, and I'm just going to spend some time sitting down decorating this in my own time. And as you can see, I've added some photos, and I haven't added any more because the ink on my printer had run out, and I'm currently waiting for HP to send me some more. But as you can see, this is when me and my family went to Stapleford Woods, and I thought that was quite fitting for this album. So the photos I've put in are 6 by 4 inches. You can make them bigger to make to make them fill the page, but I purposely did that so then I could add a border at the bottom with some embellishments or even a sentiment, whatever. But yeah, so that's the size that I've used, 6 by 4. And then we have the pull-out photo mat, and these measure 3.5 by 6 1/8, and you'll need to cut 7 of them. I've also cut the tabs as well to be able to pull them out easier, and I've also rounded the corners as well just to make it, easier for it to slide in and out of my page. But there we go, guys, that is the album, and I really hope that you've enjoyed this series, and and that you give it a go. And so here you can see that me adding the tabs in there fits in there just perfectly. So let's put this album back together. So we've got the base, slot the album in, and then we have the lid to slide back on. So like I said, I really hope that you've enjoyed this series of me putting this album together. As always, links in the video description bar below as well if you want to go and get your hands on this beautiful collection by Simply Made Crafts by Helen Griffin. And if you make this project, please share on my Facebook page called Crafty Heaven, or if you're coming from Helen's Facebook group, then share it on there. I'd love to see it, and tag me in there as well. So yeah, anyway guys, take care, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.